Welcome to the Circular Economy Day. Good morning. I'm very happy that we're starting the day with Zukunft mitdenken. Zukunft mitdenken is an event series by the Zukunftsort, where we bring together scientists, entrepreneurs, and others who help shape the society of the future and build projects that bring us as a society forward. So, one goal that we have with this event series is to promote networking and transdisciplinarity. So I'm especially excited that today the topic of our discussion is exactly that. How can we collaborate better so that we can make it possible to have a circular economy one day? We put together a multidisciplinary panel today to discuss this, so please welcome our panel guests with me. Dina Padalkina is founder and chairwoman of Circular Berlin. Dr. Frauke Mörike is a researcher at Technische Universität Berlin. Dr. Marek Ciekinski is serial entrepreneur and founder of Carbon One. Brandon Goss is Senior Innovation Manager of Tangent by the Trinity College in Dublin, and Roland Zillmann is CEO of the Vista Management GmbH, who is also the host of this location here in Adlershof. What is it and what resources is it that you will give young people or new people to the entrepreneurial side for 2023 to get started?
Well, Tangent is part of a university, so from that perspective, our core objective is to educate and to develop skills amongst young people, not exclusively young people. And Trinity College in Dublin would be the oldest and longest established university, but probably also has arguably the most successful research and innovation heritage in the Irish university landscape. Tangent as an organization then is the Centre for Entrepreneurship. So our focus is very specific. It's on creating entrepreneurial skills, not just for students, but also externally. So this collaboration with Climate Kick and our meeting this morning with Vista and all the other stakeholders are out there is a perfect example of how we engage with external partners in trying to develop those skills. Develop them on a pan-European basis, not developing them in isolation, which I think is a critical differentiator, particularly when we're talking about something like the circular economy, which is all interlinked. So this pan-European dimension is an important approach, or kind of a unique approach in terms of what we're trying to do in Tangent, what we try to do as partners of Climate Kick in particular, and what we're doing in collaboration with Luvent Consulting in Berlin. So it's a really perfect symbiotic relationship, focusing on entrepreneurial skills, trying to get startups to commercialize or to help develop and commercialize their solutions, get them to market faster, and get them to start to affect systemic change so that those new solutions, product services, can start having an impact in the circular economy or in the built environment. So yeah, critical focus for us.
Okay, so I believe that everyone on stage works in a pretty complex environment. So how do you make information flow in that system?
That's a very complicated question, because in that system, that's like the question, which system, right? First, we try to work also, our NGO works with a systemic approach on the circular economy, because we believe the topic can address challenges, global challenges of the climate change in the first place. And when we started digging into this deeper back in the past, you discover that there's huge information element behind that. So it's like also for us sometimes a challenge how to get information, the processes, and to be ready to give it back. So it's a big question for us, because it seems like it's one topic we have it here, circular economy, but behind circular economy there is layers of areas which has to be explored, and individual in each area is in some way or another unique in this case. So for us, we had to prioritize in the first place which information, because we focus mainly in Berlin. We wanted to see who is the target group in Berlin in this case, to understand what is the main challenges for the city and for the citizens. So we try to prioritize our work in terms of different topics, for example, construction, food, and textile. That's what we picked up. There are much more areas which are also important, but for our capacities, that was the first start. And then we start building up our own internal skills on that in terms of also sourcing the information and sorting and reading and giving it back. And currently, our way of sharing it, it's to different levels. Partly, yes, as we all know, it's through social media, because where there's a bigger group of stakeholders through that, but also someone who is involved directly with our community, because we also run our own community behind that. It's our memberships. So we try to monitor what their needs, what their questions in this case, and answer them either directly or also try to monitor our content. And for us, what's also an important element here, we don't talk only about businesses here, we also talk about citizens. Because we shouldn't forget that it's also a very important stakeholder in the whole this ecosystem, and sometimes in debates around circular economy, they're a bit left alone in the way like, okay, maybe you're not part of big innovation, then maybe you're not, shouldn't be part of the knowledge, but that's actually the one who's supposed to drive the demand for the topic. And that's what we try also with our information to educate, in this case, a lot, I don't want to say end consumer, because I feel it's more like citizen role, what people should know about the topic. And in this case, it's also information blocked toward this. So this would be the way how we address these issues, but I can talk quite a lot about that because it's a big topic, I would say.
What are ways that we can give this certain sense of je ne sais quoi to a digital room?
We are also starting to research in that, because of course we have seen, yes, we enjoy being at the same place. We see that there are, of course, notions being conveyed when we're face to face. But however, and I can speak not only from research but also to our own work from that. The reality is that we do have hybrid work environments. That means we have a couple of people on site at the research place, and then others working from home or from other locations. So and this is kind of the standard of what you have when you're having meetings. So one step that we have now taken is we've started to create and build up a hybrid work lab. In which we're trying to understand then what is it, how do we need to, first of all, ensure that everyone is, from a sheer technical perspective, visible and audible, which already at the very basic bottom is already not self-evident and self-clear. So that was one of the first things that we realized. Okay, we need to bring ourselves from a technical perspective on the same level, and then at the same time, which are we're currently trying out what are locations and postures of those people who are on site in order to ensure that they're having the same or a nivelized exchange with the people that are online. And I think what we're now trying to understand is as well, how well are we able to calibrate the other person, because what we all know is who has already communicated artificial deadlines to someone because you knew that he or she is going to deliver anyhow slightly later. So this is this kind of idea of how can we calibrate the other person, read basically what is going on. And we're trying currently to do this via physical setup in virtual rooms.
I can add from my personal experiences that although I'm working in a very scientific and very calculating environment, I guess the most crucial thing in our business is really the social component. Because due to the origin that the current problems are highly complex and the easy problems are solved, right? So you need to discuss with others who have experience and are the experts in other fields. And I believe if I would not were able to build up the social contact to all the partners which I have, it would not be possible to do C1 and any other company, because at the end, every collaboration is kind of risk at the very beginning, because you don't know the outcome of the collaboration. It costs you time, and you don't have a signed contract or anything else. So, and there has to be a starting point, and the starting point is then possible when you have a social binding between the people and where you have an initial trust. So then you can make this investment, and then you start the collaboration, and then you can have the output. So I believe that it's impossible to digital techniques to exchange that very fundamental principle.
When I started my professional career, this was about 30 years ago, and in this time I learned one thing, that all the companies, they have 3 issues they have to care of. One is the shareholders, second is the customers, and third is the employees. When I started my career, everybody was talking about shareholder value. Talents were not important. Nobody cared about talents because there were so many talents everywhere, nobody cared about. Then 10 years later, everyone said, oh, customer. It's really important that you look at customer demand, orient on the customers, that's the most important thing. Still, talents, employees, nobody cared about. This was not important. But now, in the time we are now, everybody realizes talents are the most important thing that we have. And if you recognize this, and then you look on fields like circular economy or on grand challenges, then you really need the best talents of the world, because, like Marek said already, the easy problems are solved. So it's easy to sell shoes via the internet or something to do this. But to solve climate change, to make something in circular economy, there you really need the best talent in the world. And these best talent in the world, they come not to work to you because they will earn a lot of money. They come to you because they would like to fulfill this mission. They are mission-driven. And they will only stay and they will only be motivated if you can give them this environment to be successful. And they understand that you have to bring together different disciplines. You need scientists, you need engineers, you need business guys, you need experienced people, you need young people, you need public organizations, you need people from different countries. So it's that interdisciplinary. And to create an atmosphere that they can work together and that they even speak the same language is really a hard job. Perhaps it's a great challenge on its own. Just to make it in a simple approach, if you would talk with a scientist, an engineer from a company, and with the sales guy, so you say, okay, we have to solve this problem ASAP. The scientist will mean, okay, 3 to 5 years, then it's finished. That's as soon as possible. The engineer will say, in 1 year it's done, and the sales guy say tomorrow. This is just a different thing that you have in one company, and these are only the 3 disciplines. And we have to bring together 10 disciplines or 20 disciplines, different cultures. And therefore, I think it's the main topic to create the management systems that you need, to create this environment, to create a smart way of communicate digital, of communicate physics, to really take the best out of it all. Because the problems are that high that we have to solve. We cannot afford to make some mistakes. We cannot afford to be not efficient. It's just a must that we have to solve these problems.
Adlershof is a perfect example of a living lab in that respect. You know, it's a progression from education into practice, research and commercialization, and then creating products and services and creating jobs. So any extension from an organic environment, such as a third level institute, for example, connecting that closely by building infrastructure around that university into a city or into an urban, an environment where that kind of cluster can develop and evolve, and where those connections, as you suggest, can be retained and maintained and developed, and you're bringing everything closer. And it means that you're solving problems more quickly. And it means that, you know, you're combining that so-called hive mind of ideas and imagination and creativity, concentrating it in one particular area where the talent exists and where a lot of talent coming out of university is looking for a mission. They're not necessarily, you know, obsessed by salaries. They will eventually, but when they come out of university, they're passionate and they're looking for a mission. And climate is a mission for most people coming out of university. It doesn't matter what they're studying, because people are hyper-conscious of the shitstorm that we're currently in, frankly. So if you can harness that energy and that passion, retain it in a physical space, then you're going to come up with some brilliant ideas and great solutions to problems that we're currently facing. It's something that our university is attempting to do. It's doing it in a piecemeal way, but it has ambitions to do it in a more progressive way. It just means capturing or acquiring land, literally, in order to do it. But we have plans to do it in an ambitious kind of a way. But I think Adlershof is a perfect template for us to potentially follow.
Maybe I can add to this. I think it's, in the first place, depends what the purpose the space is supposed to have. Because now I was like, well, there was answer. I was thinking what other spaces in Berlin we have, and also with connection to circular economy. There is also a wonderful place like Impact Hub or Haus der Materialisierung on Alexanderplatz, or also Nochmol. The idea that all these spaces, they have different purpose behind them. And Haus der Materialisierung is more like a NGO-driven project. Impact Hub is an innovation center where circular economy also part of its development. And I was thinking, what are the components, what you said? I think, first of all, it's yes, what is the objective of the space, what they actually want to develop. And I think also that it's actually giving the space to the one who joins to explore and be part of this living lab, so that actually the community that feel in the space is able to transform, change, bring their own ideas. And as soon as there is kind of this openness and inclusivity happens, then you see that the collaboration threads also start appearing, because people start finding the same as example in Alir's, they start finding other one who is also like-minded. In their way, they start finding the one who is skillful, maybe not necessarily in the space, but then somebody will recommend them further where to search for that. So I think first step is definitely to keep this openness in terms of giving the lead for the one who leave the space, and then also define why we're actually building this community inside, what is the direction of the community, where it's supposed to go, and what is the topic there.
I think coming from one of the other Zukunftsorte from the campus Charlottenburg, I think I can add to this from the perspective of the education, really, because in Charlottenburg it's a very similar approach, of course, and what